It's hard to believe it's been 2 years since the eyes of the world were watching the murder of George Floyd happen right here in our city streets. And in the 2 years since his death, the push for change at every level continues. They say time is relative, and perhaps the 2 years since George Floyd's murder speaks directly to that.
It feels like just yesterday and forever ago.
9 minutes and 29 seconds for many has translated into 2 years of time spent confronting the issues of racism.
There was an uptick in conversation, a lot of vigilance, a lot of urgency around doing something in multiple spaces across the country.
Amid what some have referred to as a period of racial reckoning.
I think we've had a racial awakening where it's been harder to ignore what a lot of people live with on a daily basis and have been trying to explain to their friends and peers.
But for Akua Ellis, a community impact director with the Greater Twin Cities United Way, the real racial reckoning is in the why.
Why the things that we're working to address exist in the first place. And along with the answers to that, assessing what is my role or what power do I have before me? And it's not just about positional authority. What power do I have within my disposal to be a part of the change required? What I haven't seen is a sustained commitment to examining and reevaluating how resources and accountability are distributed, which to me is the real reckoning. Worrying about
something Dr. Rachel Hardiman, founder of the Hughes Center for Anti-Racism Research and Health Equity, is dedicating her time to seeing through.
When we go to work, when we're talking to our family members, when we are accessing healthcare, inequities and racism are built into the system. And we have to understand that, and we have to be brave enough to call it out and to be willing to do something about it.
These ideas have been met with a lot of pushback in various forms over the last 2 years, from racist rants in area schools to violent attacks on communities of color.
We're dealing with 400 plus years of oppression. So when we think about even policing and what that's meant as part of our society, we're talking about a deep history of the ways that we've created mechanisms to control certain people in certain communities. And so as we move forward and make progress in sort of pushing back on that and creating equity and building safe spaces, you're always going to see a backlash.
Backlash, which community leaders say must be met with a will to want to be the change over time.
If we're thinking about, what we need to be doing right now at this 2-year anniversary mark, it's really thinking about how do we create policy that keeps people safe. We are at a point where, we've seen a lot of, police reform bills passed at the state and at the local levels after, George Floyd's murder. We've seen comprehensive reform be put forth, at a federal level, but then it hasn't passed.
Those who want to see change, they've got to be stronger and more boisterous in their desires to see something different.
Now, there have been a number of meaningful changes over the last 2 years in response to George Floyd's murder at the local level. Both Minneapolis and St. Paul have resources in place now to respond to nonviolent emergency calls that don't involve police in situations where community crisis workers are better suited.